everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. If you're new here, my name is Miranda,
And I'm Carmelita.
and this is where we're going to get raw and relatable.
Let's dig in.
Right, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about changing your environment and why it's important.
Yes. You guys, we are going to play the and game, and I'm going to go first. What do you think influences me most that I don't realize? I don't feel like I'm easily influenced.
I do.
Really? Oh, well, that's interesting.
Well, I think I would say that you get very influenced by people. Like, I've seen you influenced by me. I've seen you influenced by my mom. I've seen you influenced by your sister-in-laws. I've seen you
Those are good influences.
by your life coach.
I guess I was thinking of it in a negative aspect. So, what do you think influences me most that I don't realize?
Yeah.
So, good influences.
I feel like you always think that you don't have people around you that are that support you, but when you look at it like that, then you're like, oh, those are all everyone that I just named, those are all really positive influences. And even your mother-in-law, you have so many positive influence people around you that want good for you. You guys are on the same path.
And that's something that I'm learning is learning to utilize my environment, utilizing the people around me, because I'm not used to that.
That's what you don't realize.
I don't realize. I always even feel like I don't have people. To this day, I think sometimes I still feel like I don't really have a circle of people.
And
but
it's
then when
different
you say that,
with everybody.
Yeah, God really is moving and creating a whole new circle of people to pour into me. So, that was beautiful. Yeah. So,
and which just brings into our episode of changing your environment and why it's so important to surround yourself.
Because I'm used to not having a circle of people, so it's hard for me to realize the people that are around me influencing me, because I feel like there's no one around. I feel like I'm used to just isolating myself, but God is really working in a way where I'm aligning with that, and we are creating a new environment of people who I'm learning to pour into, and that are pouring back into me. So it's always full circle.
Yep, it really is. And it's crazy because we've been saying that so much lately. Oh my God, even conversations with my husband, I'm just me and Carly were just talking about that, and then they just talked about that in service.
Or when we pray about something, or our husband wouldn't do that, and then they do it, and it's okay, God is working.
Yes, He answers prayers.
Yes.
All right, so my question to you is, what do you think makes you you?
I don't think I'm gonna say because I don't think I speak positively of myself. But what makes me me is I feel like I'm just super independent. I strive on that. Having my own back, making sure
being strong.
I got me, and I wanna portray that to the world, because I want women to see and know that they got them too.
I also want you to know that showing weakness is probably the strongest ability that you can have.
Vulnerability is
and I tell you that all the time.
That I'm not ready yet. I don't have that cape. I'm not wearing that cape.
I'm a crier. You're gonna see me cry.
Which is weird, because I'm super emotional. When I'm watching American Idol, or The Voice, or anything, I will cry at a drop of a dime in a movie. But when it comes to even with you, when I'm about to cry, I'm okay, I'll call you later.
I'm girl, you're gonna let this out, or we'll be together.
She's okay, cry with me.
Never mind. You're never mind. I don't want to talk. I said no, girl. I'm gonna keep hearing it now. Talk about it. Let's get this out.
And that is really I'm really in a season of learning. Vulnerability is truly a superpower, but I'm just not comfortable. And maybe that's from trauma of being told, I don't know, shut up. I don't know what, I blacked that part of my life out. But I do know that I don't feel comfortable with people seeing weakness. So I strive on being strong to make up for that, I suppose.
That's probably from living in survival mode.
Yeah.
Your whole life.
So being that's something that makes me is oh, she's gonna make it happen. It doesn't matter. You can drive me out to the gas station in Mexico, and I'm gonna find my way back, and I'm gonna be
if y'all know her and her analogies. She's getting dropped off in Mexico.
And I'm gonna find a way.
No doubt. And all thanks to Gloria
guess that makes me me. And then I have like an awkward personality where I'm just like, you get it if you get it, and if you don't, that's cool if you do. And then we were talking about like I'm sarcastic, but for me it's in a fun way. For me, it's like I'm being jokey. Like even when I would like flirt with my husband, it would be like "shut up," and that was me thinking it was cute. but like you only
when
know that
you're like shut up, and we're like, oh, like okay, like gave us a dead arm.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's shut up, and that's like a love tap.
Not a tap though. That's definitely not a tap.
They would have like bruises. Like this was from yesterday when we were hanging out. But like then people don't know that about me until they get to know me, and then they're like, oh, okay, that's her. So that's something that makes me me.
I would agree. Everyone always thought like growing up, like, oh, Carmelita's like mean or she's a B word, like, and I mean, yeah, to some extent, I guess, but until you get to know you and like, just know that it's really like your personality, you're like super down to earth and like chill.
And I'm just very blunt. Like, if your feelings get hurt easily, like, I just, I don't know. Not tougher skin. I'm learning.
Not tougher skin? I mean, that's on you, not me, homie.
I'm learning to be compassionate. I'm on a journey, guys.
Yeah, she is.
I am.
I'm teaching her.
I'm sure people have told you your whole life, like, why do you hang out with her? Like, sometimes I even ask her, like, I don't know why you're my friend. Like, we don't, add up to one another. I feel like some ways because she's like a genuine great friend, and I'm like, I'm busy.
I think you're learning, like, we learn a lot from each other because you're learning how to be like
more of a friend, like nicer,
like more
and
like
you're learning how to be more like working with yourself.
Yeah. For sure, and we can talk about that in this episode too, because I do feel like that's helped me like grow a lot, like spending time alone and with me. Yeah, like getting to know me, enjoying the time alone. So we'll definitely.
That's what they say. Like, I don't want to get all the way because it's part of the episode, but like when we're talking about if you go to people for advice before you sit with yourself with that advice, their opinions become your opinions. So if I was like, oh, I think I'm going to apply for a new job. Okay, my analogy, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I start on that pathway before even sitting with myself to say like, okay, no, you're actually happy where you are. It might not be the right time to transition into something different. But we go with other people's ideas because that's the first thing that we're like welcoming into our brain.
Or it could be vice versa. Like, excuse me, like you're really like excited about something and then you go to somebody with something and then they like shut it down and then you're like totally turned off now. Like it changed your whole perspective and it killed your mood. So that's why it is like important sometimes to watch who you go to with things and just kind of sit with yourself. You know, like
for sure.
You don't have to. I think that's something big, I think, for us, because we were, like, the type of friends that we went to each other for everything. I mean, I still, like, we do share, but we're not going to each other before we even had enough time to think about it for ourselves. Like, we're able to, like, think about it a little bit and then, like, talk to each other about it.
Yeah, and that was because we probably didn't trust our own thoughts. We didn't trust ourselves. We were like, what's your opinion? Like, our minds think the same. So if she says it's okay, then it's really okay. And then now I'm happy with my decision. But I need to be happy with my decision before I even come to you and share with you my decision.
And then remember,
we make decisions together versus like, okay, I made this decision. Now I'm sharing that decision with you. What's your decision? It's like I'm basing my decision off of your decision.
Yeah. And remember when I was telling you, like, sometimes we already know our answer whenever we get disappointed from somebody else's answer. Like, that's your first answer. If you're going to them and then you get disappointed from their answer, then you already know the answer. So think of that. You know, next time you're thinking of something and then
how your mood shifts and your energy.
You go to somebody and you're like, oh, like that wasn't what you really were expecting to hear, then you know what's right for you. You know that decision already. Yeah, like and when I heard that from a podcast one time, and after I heard that, I was like, wow, I think that's where I actually like realized, like, I don't need to go like that. If I already know, like, because I'm hoping to hear this from somebody, then that's my answer.
You're looking
that's
for a confirmation.
Yes.
Yeah, and you need to be confirming with yourself, God, or your husband. if you're married,
Yes.
not with yourself and God.
Yes.
But that's
So
basically
good.
what our episode is about. So we kind of already jumped in a little bit, but we're really going to dive in. So we want to discuss how important it is for you to pay attention to your environment, what your current environment looks like, creating an environment that supports the lifestyle that you want to live, how your environment affects you and the decisions that you make and changes that you want to implement and how that's going to come against what you want. So
for me recently, I made a huge environment change where I moved to a completely different state. And so, which I do want to say that changing your environment doesn't have to be into a different state or city, but I will probably be mostly talking about that because I've experienced that, and that is what I'm actually like going through now. So I will probably be diving into that, but I will say like your environment goes from like your workplace, your home life, your friends, your relationships. Like it's you're literally where you're at now. So it doesn't have to be a different state.
It doesn't have to be the town you live in. You could live in a great place full of opportunity, but you could just be hanging with the wrong crowd. Yeah. But for this episode, for her experience.
Yeah, I'll definitely be diving into like how changing my environment from a whole different like state really helped like shift my mindset, shift my whole entire life, like what I want for my life. Like literally it's a whole 360 now, and it's a beautiful blessing. So we're gonna
and that's because like the environment that you were in, so they can have like a little bit of understanding for our listeners. The environment that, and we come from the same environment. We came from the same place. So it's a little town. It's overpopulated, but it's very small. It's very drug addiction. Schools are very low educated. Not a lot of job opportunity. Not a lot of people. Not a lot of area to like grow to even travel to. I mean, you can travel to LA, which is like 2 hours, or Vegas, but it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere. So to really build off of that, and we come from families where we weren't able to build, we weren't like handed certain skill sets to like grow in that environment.
And I will say, like, I feel like the town that we came from, like, you have to know people to like get in the high places. Yeah, and to get on like all the good jobs and all the good opportunities. Like,
and
you
it's
have
just
to
like,
be known.
It's just kind of like a rundown little piece. Now there are people that live great out there and that have great families and great careers, and it's not to say that you can't build something, but once you build that, it's like what's next? You can only go so far there. And even for the people who have made it are still in those same positions of like, okay, I'm here, I made it, but now what?
And that's honestly why, like,
and you were in a space of like, I have a great job. My kids already go to this, out of the way, but they go to a good school, but you have to go out of your way for that. Mm-hmm. You had this, it was like you were at a standstill of what else.
Yeah. And like, for me, like my job, like I knew like there wasn't even no opportunity for me to grow anymore because the people that were in higher positions than me, I know that they were not planning to go nowhere. Like they got into that position recently. Like I wanted to continue to grow, and I knew I wanted to stay with, my company that I was at now. So I was like, there is no way, like I'm gonna stay here. I need to leave. Like I need better opportunities. So that was another thing where I was just like, there's nothing here. But the biggest opportunity for me is like why I wanted to leave my hometown was for my kids. Like I wanted so much better for them. Like I didn't want them to be like secluded in like just a small environment. You don't see a lot. And I'm telling you, like, moving to Texas from California is a completely different environment change from like even like seasonal shifts. Like everything is just completely different here. Like I came from, it's the small things for me. It truly is because I came from like desert. So like seeing all the green, seeing all the trees, literally seeing
It's
the
like
deer.
the commutes are beautiful.
I've been here like 2
Oh,
years.
you're obsessed with the deer.
I know, like I've been here like almost 2 years already, and I'm still obsessed with like seeing the deer everywhere. Like they're right down my street.
She's
like
still sending pictures, and I'm like, I know. I've seen deers for 10 years.
It's the most beautiful thing to me. Like literally, I've seen possums in my backyard. It's just a southern thing. Like
Yeah.
It's just things that I've never seen that makes me like so excited and
it's like the community that you're building, that you've been in that place from from California, the town you lived in. You're in that place. You raised in that place. You're there for 30 years. What community did you build? I mean, you have friends that you're hanging out with in your birthday parties and stuff, but I mean, like, what church examples or career examples are like athletes or something that you're like able to see to show your kids, like, this is what we're building too. And then versus like there wasn't too much of that. Like, there's not a really good church that has like big. Well, I don't know. I wasn't a part of one. Not something that was like drawn to me for me.
There's good churches where I came from, but I will say I have never built a church community like I have now. But it could just be because
the place you're at in your life,
and yeah, like where I'm at in my life, But definitely, it's completely different. This church is definitely completely different than my hometown church that I used to attend. So, and I wasn't I wouldn't have like periods of time where I would be like I would go for a long period of time and then I wouldn't go, and then I would go again and then I wouldn't go. And like here, I'm like, no, this is home. This is like.
It's also the people though in the church that where their visions are, their mindsets.
And
are.
I will say my church had and like good that they're going, but honestly, like outside of the church had a lot of like drug addicts and it had a lot of homeless people out. Like it's not a comfortable place for me to go.
Kids.
It was not it wasn't, even if one day my husband didn't go with me, like I wasn't comfortable like going because the people that were outside of the church, like that they weren't attending, they were just there, and it's like crazy people, and it's not comfortable for me.
In that hometown, like that's normal. Like going to Dollar Tree and there's poverty standing outside, like that's just in your backyard, like
people
there's no
escaping
it. Yeah, like
on the ground. Yeah,
we already live in a world where we can't send our kids down the street to play. So now we definitely don't want to be secluded in a town where we can't trust our kids outside.
I will say,
play.
like here, I do feel way more safe.
Yeah. We don't see it.
It's
not in our
neighborhood. Like here, actually, in your neighborhood, you have a lot of kids that play.
Yeah.
Actually,
I have a park down the street. I trust my kids to go ride their bike and go play and do whatever, because we live in a comfortable environment and community where everyone around here wants the same things. Like there are people that homeless and drug addicts and all that are we go look for it. But it's not in our backyard, which we're able to escape it because we're in a bigger
It's city. The city that we're in that doesn't have a lot of poverty. Like, we are in more of a suburb area. Thank you, Jesus, for getting us here, because I prayed for moments like this, like, for real. Like, no lie. But seriously, like, it is. Like, I was shocked when I came out here because there's not homeless people outside of your grocery store asking for money. And then I
can't even go to the grocery store.
You don't see people on the corner like asking for money. That's not common in my area at all. If you go downtown, you will see that more. But I don't live there, so I go there and I just.
It's not your everyday drive. It might be once a week. I don't even know. Once a week, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
definitely not every day, all day, breakfast, noon, and dinner.
And that stuff to me was like surprising, because I like back home, like that's the normal. And then coming here, I was like, oh my God, like I don't see no homeless people. Like I don't see people like just panhandling.
So it's really a fresh set of eyes. You came to a new environment. You saw a different way of doing things, a different way of people operating, a different way of living, different community styles, different living styles, because we are in the South, so it's way different than the West. Different people, just kindness. There's way more, you just learn different things. It's a fresh set of eyes. So that ties into how important your environment is to be aware of, to pay attention to, and to make changes. I wrote, if you don't change your environment will change you.
Period. Yes.
So,
and think about that. If you do not change your environment, your environment will change you.
Yes.
Ponder on that a minute.
And I'm sure that has affected some people. Mm-hmm. I have been a product of my environment for 30 years until I took matters into my own hands and I said, you know what, I don't want to no longer be a part of this. You had to leave that environment to produce something new, to create a new way of doing things.
Yeah. And then, you know, like if you hang out with people that are busy having fun, busy drinking, like
you're busy having fun.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're going to be doing because if you haven't been around people that aren't building, you're also not going to be a builder. So if you're just continuing to live every single weekend, I'm going to tell you, I don't even like to drink I did used to like, oh, let's have a drink this weekend. Oh, not when I got here, but, you know, even back home, like, oh, let's do something. It was always like, oh, alcohol involved. Let's go have a drink. Let's go do this.
It's alcohol or food.
And then now.
Because that's how people build, that they have no substance to their hanging out.
Yes.
It's just like, oh, we're going to get together because it's a birthday party, so we're going to drink and eat. It's a game. We're going to drink and eat. It's a football game. It's a wrestling game. Drink and eat. Drink and eat. It's Good Friday. Drink and eat. Like, it's Good Friday. Holy Week. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? New experiences, new...
what I was going to say is, like, I don't even enjoy, like, drinking every single weekend. I do not like to spend my weekends hungover, sluggish. Like, I hate feeling like that. I feel like my whole day is wasted. I love to be productive, get my stuff done, and feel good while I'm doing it.
I was going to say, because with our age, like, drinking takes 2 days to recover.
Yeah, like, it's a lot more than just one day.
Like, it was her husband's birthday last week, so we went out Friday night. Of course, we had some drinks. We had a good time. We were celebrating. Took me 2 days to recover.
Like, felt super tired the next day. Yes. Like, we were going to go shopping.
The point of that is that you don't want everything to revolve around just spending your weekends drinking. Because
I don't like the way it makes me feel after, you know.
And you can't accomplish anything. You can't set your goals. You can't prepare for the next week. You can't do anything on your to-do list because you're...
We got that next episode.
Oh, well.
We're going to dig all...
It all goes together.
It does, for sure. And then I really wanted to say, like, never feel guilty. Like, for me, like, I used to feel like when I would say stuff about, like, on my Facebook and stuff about moving to a different place that people were thinking that I was looking down on where I came from and, like, judging, like, and that's not what it is at all. It's that I have learned a different way of living. Like, I came from something, like, that I only knew. I've only lived there my whole entire life. So, of course, I am sharing my experiences, and I want everybody to see, like, the better. Like, it's just so much, and it's just so much different. Like, a different way of living. It's so much better than where we came from. And everyone that I love, I just want them to experience that. So, I don't want to, like, never feel guilty for showing. I never want to feel guilty for showing gratitude of, like, me leaving. Like, I'm so grateful that I got out of there.
And I love, like,
I will say, like, Barstow's Q, it's known for a lot of different things, but it wasn't for my family and I. You know, like, it was time to grow, and I knew, like, where I wanted to grow and get to. Like, there was no way that I was going to accomplish that where I was. It was like, impossible.
And socializing and surrounding yourself with people who don't see nothing wrong with that or don't have anything to do the next day on their Saturdays and aren't intentional with their time, then you're not going to see
that. Not intentional with your time.
You're not going to see the problem with that. So you're going to find yourself every Friday night with those same group of people drinking and spending your time socializing in that way because that's where everyone's mind is at. There's not one person standing out saying, you know what, I have something to do. And hopefully you do, because that's where you're like, I need to hang with them. Because you got something to do tomorrow, and I got something to do tomorrow. So we should both leave and be responsible with our time. But if you don't change your environment will change you. And who you allow in your space is your, like, who you're allowing in your environment. We talked about a little bit earlier about how sharing information with the wrong people or even the right people will influence your decisions. So creating an environment where you have a circle of people that you can trust good judgment and that they have the best interest in you, so that when you do go to them, if you're unsure with your own thoughts, if I go to her and I share something with her, I know that she has my best interest. If I'm in the wrong direction, she's going to redirect me to the path that I have, my purpose, because she knows me, my heart. But if we're just out hanging with whoever, surrounding ourselves with just anyone who is just consuming our time, filling up those blank spaces, then when we share those things, they don't know us, they don't know our interests.
Let's also talk about how, like, I'm not gonna go, like, about going to people with your business. Like, I'm not gonna go to somebody that has never been married about my marriage.
Yes.
They do not understand when shit hits the fan. Like, you stick by them. Like, you work through it. Like, it doesn't matter.
Your husband. Like, you never got a husband.
Like, you can't go to everybody with everything, because there's some people that don't know. Like, I'm not gonna go to her about giving me lawyer advice.
I'm
because
not a lawyer.
She's not a lawyer. Like, that makes zero sense.
It's something about parenting advice that aren't parents.
Yes, like, it makes sense. Like, you're not gonna go and, like, I'm not gonna go ask somebody that doesn't have nothing going for them and is drinking every weekend and partying about starting a new business. Why would they know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to surround yourself with, like, where you plan on going. And it is uncomfortable. Like, start hanging out with people that are above you, that have way more success. Yes, that have way more success than you. Because how else are we going to learn? How else are we going to see, like, what we want without really envisioning it in real life?
And we said that before, putting yourselves in rooms that people have more knowledge than you, or that you're not the highest, because you can outgrow your environment.
Yeah.
You can be, in a sense, like how she outgrew her environment. There wasn't many more ladders to climb. She had to
because of lack of opportunity.
Now she's in a huge space of opportunity where she has millions of different avenues to go, where now she has to sit with herself and figure out, well, what does Miranda want, and what does Miranda like, and where does Miranda see herself? Because I can go west, south, east. You know, now I have so many different branches that I can go off of.
Because my perspective has changed so much, because when I lived back home, what I thought for me is, like, I'm staying with my company forever. I want to retire from here. There is no way I'm ever leaving. And my mindset has shifted to where, like, no, I want to start. Yeah, I don't want to work for nobody anymore. Like, I'm trying to get out of the corporate world. Like, I'm trying to build my own business. I'm trying to, like, there's a lot of business opportunities that we have, and there's just better things that we want to work for that I never even envisioned where I came from, you know, where I was living. Like, this wasn't even a thought.
But when you're around a community of people that have multiple houses, multiple businesses, multiple revenues, and you're like, oh, wow, I never saw that, but now that's something that I want.
A 30-year-old that owns 9 Midases? Like, come on.
We just met a 17-year-old boy at church today, flying to Florida on Friday for an app release that he came up with.
He's starting on
Apple, like
men's mental health, and he's 17 years old. I'm telling you, the people here are just programmed so much differently, and some people listening to this episode are probably like, wow, that's new to you, because I had a very small mind. Like, when you come from a very small town, you have a very small mind.
Yes.
Some of this stuff is so exciting and, like, mind-boggling to me, because I'm like, wow.
But
like,
that's what our podcast is about.
Growing.
We want to reach the people who have the small minds, because we're trying to expand your mind. We're trying to grow, glow, evolve together. Like, this is a journey that we're going through together that we want to go through
and
with
it's
you
right
guys.
On the other side.
If you already have all the answers and everything they were saying, you're like, duh, well, this podcast isn't for you. But we definitely are reaching the people, because we didn't have that information. We're like 17. Wow, because at 17, I didn't even have those brain stems.
Yes, seriously.
So it's just
crazy.
Change your crowd and the people that you're building with. stop having so much fun and focus on what you're building in life. And you can build and have fun at the same time. But being, like we said, wise with your time, like be wise with the people that you surround yourself with. I would say for sure. Like everyone you interact with, we said that before, like the space, your energy when you leave them. If
How you feel.
Yeah. If it's negative energy, then
if you feel drained instead of feeling like, oh, that was such a good time, like I enjoyed myself, you know, then that person probably isn't for you.
Yes.
That group of people probably aren't for you. If they keep doing you dirty, those people probably aren't for you. If you continuously get in arguments with these people, those people probably aren't for you.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And like I said earlier, like not all of us have an environment that is detrimental to us. Some of us have a great environment, but are you utilizing your environment? Mm-hmm. Like for me, I'm not. Like she was just telling me, like there's so many good people around me pouring into me, influencing me, and I'm still, oh, I'm a lonely little girl. Like no one loves me. And it's like, open my eyes, pay attention to my environment.
You isolate a lot.
Yeah, and that's a personal thing, but if I open my eyes and sit in the people who are around me, like utilizing that, so I'm building an environment. You might be in a space where you need to build an environment. You might be in a space where you need to clean your environment and start completely fresh. And those are hard decisions to make because we don't want to feel alone, or we don't want to feel like we don't have no one in agreement with us. Mm-hmm. But it's finding the people who are in the right agreement, like that are in line with what you need for yourself, not for what you want for yourself.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing leaving, is like leaving the people that I was like so comfortable with, you know, that I grew like this community with. And that was the hardest thing. And of course, like I moved and I'm in my 30s, and it's so hard to me, like friendships and find friends at this age, you know, and especially like I'm not just trying to meet anybody. Like if we don't align and if our weekends don't look alike, if you don't have kids, if you're not married, we probably aren't gonna mesh very well.
And you already had that established, where you know at home you had established those long, like friendships are forever.
Yeah. So definitely, like it does get lonely, but you know, like. I've kind of that has been something that I've had to learn. We kind of like dipped on it a little bit in the beginning, is because I only have one friend here, so it's not like I have multiple people that I could go and hang out with like I did back home.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to like hang out with myself, spend alone time, which I've never really got to do, you know, and that has been like a blessing in disguise, you know, that I didn't know like I needed. Like I truly didn't know I needed that, because I truly enjoy like my alone time now. And I even was just telling you, like I want to go and get a blanket with my Bible and a book, and I want to just go to like the park by myself and just chill and do my reading and just spend time with myself and like write down my thoughts.
And I was just gonna say, we should even do an episode on that, of like dating yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm like. You have to change environments for you to even be in a space of knowing that you needed time to yourself, to learn yourself, to even just enjoy yourself. Mm-hmm. And we're so consumed with people around us, like depending on their energy to fulfill us and make us happy and consume our life, that we don't even think for ourselves. We don't even, you know, even cast it, like understand the people that are around us. Like, mm-hmm. I know, like birds of a feather flock together, and it's true. You are who you hang with, and hang with yourself, so then you won't be like everyone else.
Yeah.
You'll be like just plain old you.
No, it's definitely important to build community and like friends and like-minded people, and we're really learning about that now in the church. But that's why it's very important to find those like-minded people. Like I said, it's hard to find friendships when you get older, you know, because you don't want to just hang with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, no.
But you have to be sound with yourself. So it's like you spending that time with yourself, so you know what you want and what type of people you want around you. So it really is all full circle. Like, God truly is powerful.
It all starts with you. It truly does. It all starts with you and like your mind and what you want for yourself. Like man, just do it for you. Please just do it for you because there's so much better on the other side that is waiting that you don't even know because you haven't even touched it yet. You know, you haven't even tickled
it. You just have to see it. I really believe like you have to see it to believe it because when you are from like small towns, like it took me. I came out here for a man for me to see like, oh wow, I'm never going back because I was able to see something different. Will you ever move back? No. You are now you have a fresh set of eyes here. You see something differently. So even if you're not sure of what you want or you're not sure of where you're headed, like just start experiencing new things so you can see what it feels like and if it's for you. Because I think it's so discouraged to get stuck in our ways and just say like, this is who we are. There's nothing better. Like this is what life has for me because we don't see nothing more or see something better. But forcefully put yourself in those positions to where you can like see it to believe it. That's what I'll leave you guys on. Just making sure that like if you don't change your environment will change you. You can outgrow your environment. You make sure that you're growing and going somewhere. You're building.
Yeah, so that's all that we have for this episode. We hope that you guys enjoyed. And please share with all your family and friends to help us grow. Make sure to follow us on our Instagram at Raw and Relatable and also our TikTok. And we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts.
Bye. Until next time.
Bye.